Hello, hello, my lovely Legalians. Okay, so we have a bit of drama in the chat portion of Champion Select. Someone either intentionally or unintentionally got rid of Ornn, one of the new champions. That in this patch, I think it's patch 7.18, I think. Alright, Talisman, Potion, Totem. It's this guy right here. See. Bandwidth Pirate. Okay, Bandwidth Pirate, essentially was upset with whomever banned the Ornn character. So he decided to go, well, he decided to say in chat that he was going to troll. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't really, like, for me, the effect or the effect or the definition is not from my generation. So whenever someone refers to trolling, I always, well, I don't what do you call it, I don't accept it as a real word, but it also just reminds me of, I would normally go down there, but Ivern's got it. Oh, thanks, Nautilus. Alright. So anyway, yeah, my sound's a little loud. Lower that, baby. So anyway, like I was saying, the closest that I can get to understanding the concept, don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Is an old, like, it's like an old, like, fairy tale story where I think I'm gonna grab Scuttles because I'm not gonna have enough Ivern. An old fairy tale story, an old fairy tale story where the troll is like asking questions. And unless you answer his questions correctly, he won't let you cross a bridge. That's the only reference I can that I can make to give that word any validity, any understanding on my part. These are probably gone, right? Yeah. I guess I'll have to go back. We're gonna get Trucker's Knife. Oh wow, Annie actually had Annie had that one move up. She had her passive up, that's right. Gone. Gone. This guy. We're gonna try to get some vision here. Alright, I probably can't take all the damage that comes from that. So far this game is looking pretty bad. The Ezreal is actually turning out to be pretty good. Alright, we're gonna build that. Nautilus seems to just... Okay, he's actually doing something. But yeah, with the Ivern not willing to help the game in a proper way, I don't know. Usually when the game, I mean, for me, it's not a hard and fast rule, but when the game flows in a certain way, you've got control over certain situations. But if it doesn't flow a certain way, then you got problems. Like, I don't think that they'll fare well there. I think they'll all die. Okay, one person's dead. Okay, Annie actually survived that. Okay, we're going to... Gotta get out. I'll have to flash over. So this is still dangerous for me. Yeah. Pretty dangerous. So the Kassadin is ahead. The Ezreal is ahead. And those are guys that are late game. Alright, so we won't take this camp because he took the time to get it. But the way that this game is going is the laners are going to get too far ahead for us to do anything about. So, I mean, the way that I think about this game, just because this person didn't want to play you know, like kind of stick it out. He didn't want to stick it out. You know, that's pretty much his case here. Because he didn't get his ban. Or they banned his champion that he wanted to play. I honestly think that even though oh, I got him. Okay. So far, I think this game will, it won't go in our favor for sure. I mean, it's not in our favor right now. Alright, we're gonna head back. 3 minutes on Dragon. We're gonna get this item. And we're gonna head out. But yeah, I think, like, the reason why we're gonna lose is because the Cho'Gath is gonna be too much of a powerhouse tank. The Kassadin's going to just be able to get out of get in and out of situations all day. And the Ivern is stealing away. Well, not stealing away, but he's using my camps. So I can't, so I gotta make some dangerous plays here. Pull this over here, just in case Kayn comes. Feeling a bit uneasy right now. He's dead. Nothing I can do about it. Oh, he actually survived for a while. Wow. Pretty impressive. Well, I don't know about impressive. I don't know. But that's good, that's good. The Nautilus is actually, The Nautilus is actually giving me some hope here. So we're gonna get this as soon as we can here. Now, what kind of disappoints me about this team is, they keep saying that with 2 junglers you can get the same, like, I don't know what they expect here. Hey, alright. Like, with 2 junglers... Time to make exit here. Alright, time to get out. I'm just trying to get to the dragon. Alright. We're gonna get some boots. We can almost afford these boots. Oh, no. Yeah, we'll wait for the boots. So the fight was... Okay, they'll be able to get that. Unfortunate. But the fights are clunky at the moment. But that wasn't too bad. If it wasn't for, like, the late game... If it wasn't for, like, the late game... I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah, that's essentially... I mean, if MF was around, that we might be able to do something about that. Alright. I mean, it seems like we can mount a decent defense here. Okay. Start canceling the surrenders. I have a feeling that we'll have a couple of those. 4 minutes on this guy, it's a little too risky at the moment. Okay, now Nautilus is getting knocked back here by not a whole lot we can do about that. We're gonna put a ward over here. Cassin is just roaming at this. Is just fantastic. I'm not even gonna attempt that because Cassin can just follow forever. See who's Cassin's on a killing spree? Surprise there. Alright, we're gonna try to get some farm over here while these goobers are all chasing each other. They keep making like the remark that having 2 junglers is going to enable you to pick up objectives. I think the Nautilus is playing well. He's playing especially well, I think. But we're gonna ward this areas up. Get what we can. Now this is going to be a big issue here because Leona is going to be kind of protecting to the side here. Alright, that's fine. Alright. So it seems like we're solid enough to do something on the map. We're solid enough to get a few things done. Ivern is chasing the Cassidon. Okay. Gonna be something else when win this. Or if we win this, rather. What am I talking about? I wonder if I was able to steal that. Ah, gotcha. Okay. We're just gonna leave that area. We'll see about hearing oh, great. Of course, we gotta run into the Ezreal here. Alright, we did what we could. So their team is actually doing a lot of silly things as well. If they would just group on objectives, their team would be doing a lot better. But a lot of them are just kind of acting independently. Like these guys of ours are acting independently. Ivern's dead. Yeah, there's nothing that, I mean, as far as Ezreal goes, he's probably at his, well no, he actually doesn't have his power spike. Crazy. Okay, so we're not gonna carry that any further. I guess MF was trying to steal with her ultimate ability, but with all those people around MF, that is extremely risky. Like, so risky you don't want to risk it. But yeah, just to clarify. Okay, so this might be a Baron steal here. I can only guess that they're Baron right now. Can't see anything. Okay. Don't feel good about grabbing this one here. Alright. I got it though. So yeah, even though the Ivern character, even though this guy got upset, well, he's died for the most part, everything. That. Not much I can do at the moment. Alright, nothing I can do. So yeah, I don't think anything could have been done this match even if the Ivern had an Ornn. I mean, things would have progressed differently. But from the plays that were made in several avenues of the game, I felt like Annie didn't have any map awareness, and additionally MF I don't think was playing that well either. The Nautilus on the other hand was playing good. Like, he would have been our trump card. And let's see, so we're gonna give him staying cool. But yeah, again, just to clarify what had happened earlier in the game, this guy, Bandwidth Pirate, he decided to play by his own rules, and so griefing, giving up, intentional feeding. Okay. This champion in the okay, I'm gonna reword that. In the champion select this player openly admitted that he was going to brief and or intentionally throw the game. Look at logs in yeah, just look at logs, chat logs. Yeah, thank you Riot for just thank you Riot. Okay, there we go. And that's all you can do. But yeah, to clarify what had happened in the beginning, and this tends to be one of those things that players complain about when it comes to people that get upset and they have to cause problems for everybody. But when you really don't have, like, when you don't have, Riot doesn't have the money, or they don't want to spend the money, you know, whatever the case is, as far as punishing players like this, that's the only reason. Because players aren't punished in a way that is long-lasting or detrimental. Well, not detrimental. Where it actually convinced them to act otherwise, meaning that there are actual consequences for things. So it's like, I walk down the street, I see a dude, and I ask myself, well, should I punch this dude? What are the consequences? That's usually where your mind goes. Now, whether I'm upset or not, I'm not gonna punch the dude because maybe he's gonna punch back. Consequences, and that will hurt. I'm not a fan of that. And then there's also police assault repercussions and other things that diminish the need to punch people. But in the internet world, because you have these companies that try to develop programs to deal with, they try to create an environment that takes away from that kind of activity. But because I guess they concentrate more so on gameplay rather than regulation of players, they find themselves in these situations. And unfortunately, because League of Legends is so large, they really, I mean, if you're trying to be competitive, it's like, I want to make the game better. But you know, that's a quandary for them, because I bet a lot of people are turned off by the fact that if someone doesn't get their way or they have a bad game, that all hell will break loose, and Riot just can't control these kind of things. I mean, imagine like you're just this little kid, and your parents brought you up right or whatever, and you're playing one of these games for the first time, and people are cussing, and oh man, like, how discriminatory is that? And then your parents, you know, maybe you like the game and you want to continue to get better, but your parents are like, what? Who are these people? Why are they using such profane language and all this other stuff? And the parents are like, I don't want you playing that game anymore. So a game that a little kid just wanted to have some fun turns into the parents telling them they can't because they don't find it appropriate. And that is essentially discrimination. But it's not something, I mean, it's something that is difficult for Riot. But I don't know. Gotta ask yourself, how much does Riot care about its player base? And I find it, you know, it's, for me, it's something that you have to deal with, just like I'm dealing with it right now, and try to learn something from it. For parts of the game, I thought that we were, like, okay, but I kind of figured that because of their late game, their Kassadin, I mean, a Cho'Gath in the top lane, like, they had late game. The only reason why we were kind of staying afloat is because they hadn't reached their late game power spike. And also, the enemy was making a lot of mistakes where they were skirmishing, where they just should have been grouped, you know? So, what you learn from that is not even the enemy team took advantage of the fact that we had two junglers. And if two junglers, I mean, is it a thing? You don't know. But if you do analyze the situation correctly, you realize that if you're not doing, if our team is not making enough progression in the early game, I couldn't get going because Ivern was taking my camps. Normally I would, grab Dragon around 5 or 6, I think about 6 minutes. But Ivern delayed my my itemization. So that's one of the things that delayed me in my effectiveness. But it doesn't mean that I can, not try to play correctly. But yeah, so when you got two junglers in that type of situation, it did screw, and it causes problems because their team was late game and our team wasn't. And Ezreal was doing a lot of damage, and like I pointed out before, the Ivern, once he was spotted, he was dead. So we were hanging in there, and that was really just because of the late game spike that was kind of just waiting in the wing for their guys. And really, because they were playing kind of haphazardly, the enemy team was playing poorly, but it didn't matter because those two champions, Kassadin and the Cho'Gath, the Nautilus couldn't even stop Cho'Gath anymore because he was just so potent. All right, so we'll do a little itemization here. Gargoyle's Stoneplate, I think I read in the patch notes that it was reduced, or no, they fixed some bugs where if you were to raise your health pool, that it would register as its base health. And they fixed some things about that, and I didn't even know that was broken. So essentially, what it said in the patch notes, that if your shield, like let's say you have a Locket of the Iron Solari, I think that's what they refer to, and you put your shield on, well, you have a little more health. You have more health. So here's your health. Now you have a little more health. There we go. So now with a little more health, you have a higher base according to the Stoneplate, Gargoyle Stoneplate. And then that, I don't know, it has a funny interaction where it will give you too much health based on that health and not your true base health. Something like that. So that's one of the fixes I saw coming out of Stoneplate. The Cinder Hulk, it's still cheap, but its health was reduced. I read in the patch notes. Just reduced by a little bit. I think it's still a really optimal. The tank meta is still an optimal, like I feel like it's the most optimal way of securing games. The Nautilus was really hanging in there. Like I felt like Nautilus is a late game champion, and he was really holding his own for a while. I think he was doing a great job, and that's why I commended him on his service As far as his build is really it's good. It's good. It's definitely good. You got Murktrites because Cho'Gath and various champions are going to be slowing him down, popping him up, all these things. And Murktreads are going to reduce that the duration of all those things, and that's going to help a lot with survivability. If you know, Sunfire Cape is going to be awesome because you're in close quarter combat a lot of the time, and if the health is going to help Nautilus, and also the magic damage is going to damage people that he's surrounded by. Excellent item. Spirit Visage, that is also going, well, it's going to help him. There's other items you can use. It's going to, the base regen health is going to help. He's not going to get the unique passive, like Maokai gets a strong ability off this passive, increases all healing received by 30%. This is more for the magic defense, but there are other magic defense items that could have gone well for Nautilus, in addition to, I think it's that Abyssal thing. I think it's this thing. Abyssal Mask. Like, it gives health, magic resist, cooldown reduction, and then let's look at its passive and its aura, its unique aura. The passive is 15% damage taken from champions is gained as mana. Spending mana restores 20% of the cost as health. So it looks like spending mana restores 20% of the cost as health. So you restore some health by mana cost, and then up to 25 per spell cast. The nearby enemy champions take 10% more magic damage. Okay, so yeah, so you actually you're gonna get a little less health for the Nautilus, but you're going to get more damage. But I guess it's a trade-off. You're going to get more damage, but you're going to get a little more health. But also, you're going to, with this Abyssal Mask, you're going to, when you use mana, you're going to gain that back in health. So that's why I think that this is an acceptable item versus the Spirit Visage. The only reason why you would, I mean, the reason that kind of tips the scales with Spirit Visage is the increase all healing received by 30%. But Nautilus doesn't have any ability to heal himself. Like, Maokai has a passive that every, 5 seconds or something, depending on his level, he will heal himself. And if he is like lots of health and he's got Spirit Visage, he heals for a lot. A lot. Late game, he can heal for like, I don't know, 700,000, which is devastating after you've tried to pummel him for a while. The MF went, it looked like the MF went for sort of early game damage build, like the Duskblade of Drakthar for a champion like an ADC. It's like they're trying to do what they can in the early game, but it's not going to compare in any way to the damage that's coming out of Ezreal with his critical hit items. Like, she'll be able to do a modest amount of burst, but that's it. She can't follow up with any damage in a team fight. So she's got some burst damage. That's it. And then Drakthar, there's a certain amount of time before this item, like, its ability has to be reset, something like that. When spotted by an enemy, ward causes a blackout for 8 seconds, revealing invisible traps and disabling wards. Okay. Passive, after being unseen for at least 1 second, your basic attack against an enemy champion deals bonus damage. So, okay. As far as I understand this, if you're unseen, you're for at least 1 second, meaning the enemy can't see you on the map for at least 1 second. Once you come back in, you can come in and do a basic attack, and your next basic attack will deal anywhere between 65 and 320 bonus damage. Now, That is a lot of bonus damage. It's a lot of bonus damage, but the gap between there is so large. On average, you'd be doing maybe, I don't know what that is average wise, 150, 160, but you could get lucky and one shot somebody. But yeah. But range attacks deal even less damage. Bonus attacks instead and do not have slow. Lasts for 5 seconds. Okay, so this is really an item just to get a little bit of burst, and it's not going to have any long-lasting effects in late game. And another reason why we were destined to lose this game, because how can you compare with this consistent damage that is going to crit, fairly consistently, versus this one time you gotta hide away from them to come back to have a chance to do a little bonus damage. So this was just kind of a desperation item for MF. And secondly, I think if she just went a crit build, she would have been more applicable in fights. Like at least well, maybe she couldn't afford it. Hard to say. Because the way that this game went, but if she had at least one crit item, I think her ultimate would have been more useful. Yeah. And we could have made a play around her ultimate or something like that, or saved a tower or something. And then finally you've got the support Ivern with Face of the Mountain plus Gargoyle Stone Plate. The problem with, now this guy wanted to go support anyway. Problem with this is he wasn't in the lane to support MF. And he was roaming around and getting farm. Now it might have been okay to invade and steal, but because he was also in my jungle, also using or taking camps, it delays me by quite a bit. And so what ends up happening is the game is just going to go more into late game, and then you just look who's more late game. MF early game, Nautilus late game. Annie is more mid. She's a viable late game, but she's not a late game champion. I'm late game. So we have Nautilus and Nunu, two tanks that are late game. The rest of them are mid game spikes. But for the enemy team, I think that Kayn's ability, he's fairly effective late game, but I think I'm not sure if his spike is mid game or late game. I feel like it might be late game, but I don't know. Ezreal, because he's 80 carry, he's going to do tons of damage. He's late game, and he's already got a huge lead. Kassadin is definitely late game, and he has a huge lead. And for the rest of them, he was just holding the top lane. He died twice. I'm not sure if Nautilus was able to do that on his own, or if he just died in team fights. But the further along that the game went, there's no way that we're going to be able to deal with the Cho'Gath, who's just going to be unstoppable, especially when we can't do any damage. Alright, so despite this guy, kind of announcing in the early game that because of his character was banned, he decided he wasn't going to play appropriately. He did try a little bit. He gave it a shot. But the fundamentals weren't there. So it's like, here's something really strange. Like, why would you put yourself in that situation just to to play well, right? It's like if I wanted to ride my bike and I took off the front handlebars, and for a while I was riding that thing like a pro, right? But then I crashed and burned. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you ride your bike without handlebars just to come back and ride the bike well until it just got until it just went all to hell? So it seemed like he was upset earlier and he was going to commit to being upset. But once the game started, he's like, oh, well, maybe I'm not so upset anymore. Maybe I'll try. But fundamentally, it wasn't going to work because of that instance where he was upset and decided to pick Ivern and not really take the rest of the game into account. Even if that never happened and we had him as a support character, I think the game would have gone in the same direction. Just because of the expertise coming from the MF and the Annie. Annie didn't have good map awareness. Like certain times you need to be aware of certain ganks. And at the same time, Kassadin, I think Kassadin can be pretty safe versus the Annie. All you have to, I mean, you pretty much have to watch out for Annie's level 6, and if you can do that as Kassadin, then you should be okay. And Kassadin's gonna have health, so you can't necessarily pop Kassadin all in one go. So I think Annie had a hard matchup, and she wasn't playing it well regardless. MF, there could have been a way that she could have farmed well and still tried to survive and made safe plays behind her turret, but maybe that wasn't... I mean, there's always ways to deal with it, but because of these detractions in players' understanding of either their mechanics or how to come back in the game, because those things weren't there, and for a lot of people, they aren't there at this elo and even higher. When you get into platinum, it's not there for a lot of champions because they're strong in one thing but weak in other things, like understanding the game fundamentals. They understand the champion well, maybe they know a couple, maybe they know just one, but there's a lot of reasons how people can climb elo based on certain information but not overall information. And this idea of having great knowledge of one champion, but not great knowledge of the game itself, this can result in falling quickly. If you've ever, I'll close out with this. If you've ever been in a situation where you've been climbing, then you reach a point where you can't cross this precipice, and you find yourself at this point over and over again, and you say to yourself, okay, I don't get it, my mechanics are there, why does the game keep rolling over? Like, why does the game, like, what's going on? You know, I'm winning my lane, or I'm pretty good mechanically, but what the cause of it is just the overall understanding of the fundamentals of the game. What you should do during this, where should you be during this, and those are just, you know, kind of like the basic fundamentals of how to close out a game properly. Just 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, you know? It's just by taking this step is the least risky and all this other stuff, instead of making the risky play and possibly throwing the team a bone and having them come back in the game, and before you know it, they're knocking on your door. Okay, guys. I'm gonna upload this video. I'm sorry this wasn't a very exciting one, but I guess this is just one of those the days in the life of League situation. So I'm sure a lot of you guys can understand what this kind of thing or what this feels like. In any case, I hope you enjoyed some of the gameplay and maybe me chatter on for quite a while, probably longer than the actual gameplay. Okay, I will talk to you guys later. Hi-yo.